Shame, shame, shame in Mississippi. Shame,
when I was a little boy living in Canton, Mississippi, I used to work as a day laborer for the meanest white woman in town. And a few weeks after Emmett Till was murdered, she called me into her family room.
You hear about that little boy who was killed up around money?
No, ma'am.
Do you know why he's dead?
No, ma'am.
He's dead because he forgot his place with a white woman. Shame.
Now, there was something in her voice that just sent chills down my spine. I was never the same. Nothing was ever the same.
Money, Mississippi.
1955.
Civil rights would never be the same.
A young black boy from Chicago was brutally murdered.
For simply being black.
Pure evil in the shape of revenge was able to pass through our courtrooms unscathed.
Future leaders like Martin Luther King Jr., W.E.B. Du Bois, and Booker T. Washington would refer to this brutal killing married with an acquittal as a scar on the face of freedom.
Emmett Till was a child victim who was positioned in his coffin with unrecognizable features.
Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett's mother, along with David Barr, struck back by writing a personal account on his story.
Please remember the face of Emmett Till.
77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation conceived in
Liberty, Bo. Liberty. I know you can do this.
liberty.
Emmett was stricken with polio as a child. The illness affected his speech.
Liberty.
So I taught him that whenever he had trouble speaking, not to get frustrated, but to just blow it out with a whistle. The very thing that I thought might save Emmett might have taken his life.
Emmett was from Chicago and wanted desperately to visit his family in Mississippi. Please, Mama.
But Mamie kept refusing until Emmett's uncle assured her that he would watch over Emmett while in money.
It's leaving. I gotta go.
I know, but I'm going to review a few things with you before you go.
Y'all done already told me all that stuff, Grandma.
I know, but you gotta understand, child, that when you are colored and living in Mississippi, you are not in Chicago. All aboard!
I gotta go. Bye!
That was the last time that I ever saw Emmett alive.
What do you think happened in the Bryan store that night?
Well, we were all at church that night, and Daddy was preaching, and we got bored, so we thought we'd drive down to town. I figured we had at least 2-3 hours before they got to offering, so we stopped in front of Bryan's store before we headed back. Come on, we gotta go! I gotta get this car back to Daddy before he notices it's gone!
Hey, I'm gonna get some bubble gum. Want some? What y'all want? What y'all want? Well, what you staring at, boy?
Yes? Hey, Lizzie. What? Slow down, you're talking too fast. Some men took him. Well, oh my God, how long has he been gone? What do you mean Emmett didn't come back to the house this morning? Wake up, boy.
Huh? What?
I said, wake up, boy.
Papa Mose?
Nah, I ain't your Papa Mose. I'm the husband of that white woman you sassed right back down in money. Remember that little thing?
Uh-huh. What's that you saying?
So you a smart ass little boy, ain't you?
Oh, no!
We gonna see just how smart you are.
What?
You sassed my wife, boy. Now you gonna pay for it.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. It is right and natural for us to ask ourselves in troubled times like these, how can we sing of God's glory when our bodies lie shackled under fetter of iron chains?
No.
You know, when folks ask me why I choose to stay in a state like Mississippi with all the prejudice against colored folk, I tell them because the white man lives his life like a free man, and so should I. Because the Constitution of the United States says that I can. Because the God Almighty says that I can. And His law is the only law I have got to obey.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Carolyn Bryant. Miss Carolyn Bryant. Roy Bryant. He's my husband.
Now, could you tell us about the Wednesday night the Till boy came into your store?
Well, sir, I remember it was getting late. Things were kind of slow, so I was at the front of the store by myself. But I wasn't afraid to be at the store by myself. I mean, nothing bad ever happens around here. I first noticed him when I heard 2 or 3 others standing around. That boy wasn't really looking to buy anything, just looking. And then he grabbed me hard. I told him to let me go, but he just smiled and kept holding my wrist, running his black hands across my arms. He would have raped me right there if he thought he could have got away with it.
His black hands would have raped her.
I didn't do No, please.
You ain't nothing.
No, please.
You ain't never gonna do something up again, boy. Cause you ain't nothing but a filthy nigga. Boom.
At the funeral, you decided to have an open casket. Why?
My only concern was that the world had to see what was taking place in the state of Mississippi. And when I saw my baby, I noticed that there was a hole in my son's head. The gin fan from that wire they wrapped around his neck to weigh him down in the water had left his mouth jammed wide open. The nose, his nose, I looked like someone had just taken a chopper and just sliced it right up. The teeth, I only saw 2, but I recognized the 2 that I saw. This eye over here was laying down, dangling by his cheek. His head was split in 2. The funeral director had asked if I wanted to have Emmett's head fixed up for the service, and I said, "You can't fix that. Let the people see what I saw."
Gentlemen of the jury, have you arrived at a verdict?
We, the jury, find the defendants J.W. Malum and Roy Bryant not guilty.
Shame, shame.
I was never the same.
Shame in
Nothing was
Mississippi.
ever the same.